Hello everyone, Stakuya here, and today we are going to be talking about a badass of history. Now, before I start this video, I need to stress something, and that is that I am not making this video in support of this person, or his ideology, or anything along that line. I make content describing everything in history, from the worst of humanity to the best of it, and this person rightfully earns his place as a badass of history. How else would you describe a tanker ace with over 100 confirmed tank kills? That is something that I don't even have the words of how to describe the level of accomplishment that is. But without further ado, let's get into his story. The son of a farmer, Johann Wittman, Michael was born on April 22, 1914 in the scenic Oberpfalz district of southeastern Germany. After graduating from high school, this quiet but industrious boy worked on his father's farm and he served in the National Labor Corps for the first 6 months of 1934. That October, he enlisted in the 19th Infantry Regiment of the Reichswehr, the interwar German army, and he served there for almost 2 years. But it was in late 1937 that Wittman received driver training, and it was there that they found that he excelled in handling light as well as heavily armored vehicles, and from there he joined the 17th Panzer Scout Company. That unit was reduced in status to a Panzer Scout platoon in the summer of 1938. Now, of course, we know that Germany invaded Poland on Friday, September 1st, 1939, and Great Britain, as well as France, declared war the following Sunday. Now promoted to sergeant, Wittman was in action from the very start with the LSSAH Assault Gun Battalion. During the brief Polish campaign and then in the German Blitzkrieg sweep into Belgium, Holland, and France, he commanded a 6-wheeled heavy armored car on reconnaissance sorties. But after German forces invaded the Balkans on April 6, 1941, Wittman led an assault gun platoon in Greece, where his skill and gallantry earned him the Iron Cross Second Class. He soldiered against British Commonwealth troops and partisans in Greece until mid-1941, and then headed for another front where that is where he was to come into his own as a warrior. Early that June, Wittman and the LSSAH armored formations were shipped eastward to prepare for Operation Barbarossa, the German army's massive, yet ill-fated, invasion of Russia. But it is there that Wittman would become a legend. When 3 Nazi armies swarmed across the Russian border on June 22, 1941, the LSSAH panzers rolled southward, and Wittman quickly distinguished himself as a tank commander in the first of many clashes with the Red Army. He knocked out Soviet tanks at an incredible pace, receiving another Iron Cross Second Class on July 12th for destroying 6 of them. He was wounded twice, but he stayed with his unit. During heavy fighting in southern Rostov-on-Don area, Wittman's panzer demolished 6 Russian tanks in a single engagement. He was promoted to Technical Sergeant and awarded the Panzer Assault Badge and Iron Cross First Class. In less than 1 year of action on the Eastern Front, Wittman and his gunner, Balthazar "Bobby" Wohl, were credited with 66 tank kills. After invading Russia, the German armies had made spectacular advances against the unready Red Army, and had pushed close all the way up to the gates of Moscow. But the desperate Soviets mobilized, fought back, and rushed new weapons into production. When the 46-ton KV-1 heavy and 26.3-ton T-34 medium tanks appeared on the Eastern Front in 1941, near panic swept through the German ranks. The formidable T-34 had revolutionary sloped armor, a powerful 76mm cannon, and a Christie suspension system. Now, instead of adopting similar designs, the Germans developed their own counter, the Tiger. Everything about the Tiger I was impressive, and the Wehrmacht now had a tank to challenge the T-34 and the KV-1. It weighed 57 tons, had 4-inch thick frontal armor plating, and mounted a long 88mm cannon and 2 machine guns. The Tiger's speed was 23 miles an hour and it carried a crew of 5. Equipped with the new Tiger and Panther tanks and 2 battalions of 67-ton Elephant tank destroyers, as well as being supported by Luftwaffe bombers as well as fighters, a large German force launched Operation Citadel, an attack on the Kursk Bridge on July 4th. Operating with LSSAH panzers in the southern sector of the Bulge, Wittman wasted no time deploying his Tiger to full advantage. On his first day of action, he destroyed 2 Soviet anti-tank guns and 13 T-34s, as well as rescuing Lieutenant Helmut Wendorf's tank platoon, which had run into trouble. On July 7th and 8th, Wittman's Tiger blasted 2 T-34s, 2 Su-122 self-propelled guns, and 3 T-60/T-70 tanks. And on July 12th, his score was 8 Soviet tanks, 3 anti-tank guns, and a field gun. As many as 5,680 German and Soviet tanks and assault guns were involved in a week-long slugging match at Kursk, the biggest tank battle in history, and each side lost more than 1,500 of them. There and at Kovrov to the south, Wittman assumed command of a company of Tigers and put 30 Red Army tanks and 28 guns out of action. The German panzers and guns proved far superior to the Red's Army weapons, but it was the Soviet armored's reserves that outnumbered Manstein's that made the difference. Although it suffered an astounding 600,000 casualties at Kursk, the Red Army could actually afford to absorb the tank losses. On July 13th, Manstein was forced to retreat in order to save his army group south, and 4 days later, Hitler would call off Operation Citadel. His high hopes for Barbarossa were dashed because an army never regained its strategic initiative on the endless Russian steppes. Wittman's 13th SS Panzer Company withdrew for refitting and occupational duties at the end of July 1943. But early the following October, the tank ace was back on the Eastern Front at the start of the Soviet autumn offensive. On October 13th, his Tiger destroyed 20 T-34s and 23 assorted Russian guns. Wittman commented that the anti-Soviet tank guns were actually more challenging and prized targets than tanks. Cited for demolishing a total of 88 tanks, self-propelled guns, and other vehicles, he was awarded the Knight's Cross on January 14, 1944. This coveted decoration was usually reserved for generals and rarely given to enlisted men or junior officers. Wittman and Gunner Wohl, who has also won the Knight's Cross and Iron Cross, were eventually credited with having destroyed 119 armored vehicles on the Eastern Front alone. Wittman had established himself as the top-scoring Panzer ace. He received a telegram for Hitler praising his heroic actions in battle for the future of our people. His remarkable combat record was lauded on Nazi radio, and he was a national hero. And what I have just described here, that is the story of Wittman on the Eastern Front. He would go on further to fight on the West through the invasion of Normandy, and it is actually in the West that he would meet his end in 1944, destroyed in an ambush. And again, at the end of this video, I want you to note, what I have just described are the insane actions of an individual who is capable of amazing feats. Nothing from this was defense of this person or his ideology, and I cannot believe that that is something that I actually have to stress. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope that you look forward to next time's Badass in History. Thank you.